Hello everyone! In this video, I will be showing you how a simple paper fortune teller can ignite the creative side of your students. The title of this lesson is Creative Writing with a Paper Fortune Teller. For the hook portion of this lesson, I, the teacher, will gather my students around to the front of the classroom where I will present to them this pre-made paper fortune teller that holds creative ideas for a story. And here's the paper fortune teller. The outside of the fortune teller will have 4 different story settings. The first layer of the fortune teller will have 8 different characters. The second layer of the fortune teller will have 8 different plots corresponding to a particular genre. I will assign roles to 5 different students. 1 student will pick the setting, 2 students will choose the 2 characters in the story, another student will choose the plot and corresponding genre, and the last student will write what each student chooses on the whiteboard. On this particular fortune teller, the 4 possible settings are barn, airport, classroom, and park. The first student, for example, may choose the word barn as the setting of the story. Next, I will use the letters of the word barn to manipulate the fortune teller in order to reach the next element of the story. So here we have the word barn, B-A-R-N. A second student will choose the first character of the story, and we will continue with the same idea until all 4 elements of the story are chosen. For the instruction part of this lesson, I will instruct my students to return to their desks and proceed to write a story based off of the choices on the whiteboard. The length of the paper will vary by grade level. For example, 3rd graders will have to write at least 1 paragraph of 3 to 5 sentences, while 5th graders will have to write at least 3 paragraphs of 5 to 8 sentences. I will make it clear to my students, no matter what grade level they are in, that each story must have a beginning, a middle, and an end. For example, the chosen parts of the story could be a barn as the setting, Ed the vampire, and Monica the nurse as the 2 characters, teleportation as the plot, and sci-fi as the genre. A student could write a story about Nurse Monica, who uses her powers of teleportation to teleport to a local blood bank at night in order to supply blood bags for her young vampire friend Ed, who arrived at her family's barn one night. The practice part of this lesson will be me teaching my students how to make a paper fortune teller and use it to help facilitate creative stories. The main shape of a paper fortune teller is a square sheet of paper, but our piece of paper, which can be construction paper or copy paper as shown here, is a rectangle. So, in order to make our paper a square, we will bring the top corner down and line it up on the side and create a crease with our fingers. We will then cut off the excess rectangular piece of our paper with scissors. Now we have our square piece of paper. Next, we will reinforce the crease we made at the beginning and repeat this same process by folding another corner to its opposite corner in order to create another crease. Now we have 2 long creases in our paper. Then we will take each corner of our square and fold it into the center point of the paper and create a crease after each fold. Remember, this doesn't have to be perfect. Once all four corners are folded into the center, turn the paper over onto its flat side and repeat the previous step, taking each corner, folding it into the center point, and creating a crease after each fold. Now, take each side and fold it inward in half in order to reinforce the creases. Take the side where you see all of the folds and bend it upwards. This will reveal the pockets that our fingers will go into in order to move and manipulate the fortune teller. And that's it. After each student has made their fortune tellers, I will instruct them to write any 4 different settings, 8 different characters, and 8 different plots with corresponding genre on their fortune teller. Each student will be able to choose what settings, characters, and plots they want to include in their fortune tellers, but must include the same 8 genres: mystery, comedy, sci-fi, horror, romance, fantasy, action, and drama that were in my pre-made fortune teller that corresponds to their plot. To keep things interesting, once all the paper fortune tellers are made, I will place them in a bucket, shuffle them around, and have each student choose a paper fortune teller from the bucket. Then they will work with their neighboring classmate to manipulate their given fortune teller in order to reveal the different elements that will need to be included in a story, and write the choices on an index card for future reference. Then 2 or 3 neighboring students will look over the index cards and choose the one that they like the best and work together to create a lively story that will be presented to the class. As a final assessment for this lesson, each student will write their own story without the use of a fortune teller to guide them in their creativity. Each of their stories must include a setting, character or characters, plot, and follow a certain genre. The students will have to present their stories to the class in any manner of their choosing, whether that be dressing up as the main character of their story or even acting their story out. After their presentation, the student will hand in their written story and an index card with the 4 elements that were in their story for non-graded feedback from me. This lesson or activity is great for all grade levels. For example, when I was in the 9th grade, my English teacher has randomly picked a prepositional phrase out of a bucket. We were instructed to write a story with our chosen prepositional phrase as the title and incorporate it somewhere into our story. My phrase was "in the mirror," and I wrote a story about a young girl who was standing in front of a mirror, recounting the past events that led her to this moment of contemplating taking her own life. I hope that with this detailed video, you were able to learn how to make a simple paper fortune teller and use it to unlock the creative side of your students or even yourself. Thank you.